This week we addressed our first Ask Us Anything question.
Woo!
Yes, we opened the door for once a month at least, if not more. We will open it up for any random questions that you have. I love it.
And kidding, hey, bring it on, bring it on.
That's right. We're an open book. We like these questions. So
don't we?
Don't we, right? So our question this week was from Alicia, and she asked, how do I bond with my kids?
Ooh, this is a tough one. You know, bonding is kind of the essence of parenting. That's why we have children. We don't just like to feed free people, right?
Right. We want to bond and connect with these people. But we addressed on the podcast that before we even got to how to bond with kids, we need to kind of look at the distinction of what does it mean to bond with your children. And so we addressed on the podcast the difference between just bonding and secure attachment bonding.
Which I had never really thought about before. That's interesting.
Right. And so one of the big differences between those two, if we want to talk about bonding it tends to be a little bit more focused on the task that you're doing or the conversation that you're having. So, you've all done this where it's like, come on, why don't you go on a bike ride with the kids? It'll be a bonding opportunity.
All right, let's do all that work so that we can have a good time.
And we're going to bond and we have an agenda and we've got to do it. Right.
And then you just finish it off with ice cream at the end to ask for forgiveness.
Right, because everybody lost their tempers.
Everybody's a jerk.
Right. But with secure attachment, the focus is oftentimes a lot more focused on those nonverbal cues. And so we addressed this on the podcast, and that's what we wanted to share in this video too, to give you just some reminders of how you can bond with your child without ever saying a word or necessarily doing something. You might say
you want to play, but they know if you really want to play.
And how do they do that? What are our cues?
Eye contact is the first one. If you're not making eye contact in your conversation, then you're not really having a conversation.
I used to get teased about that when I watched TV because I cannot watch TV and do other things. I'm distracted. I have to watch the TV. And so we would joke, actually, my niece would do this too. And so you call their attention, you've got the TV screen and you say, hey, Autumn, can you do something? Uh-huh. Yeah? Right? I mean, are you really connecting with your kiddo and showing good eye contact? Another one on there is facial expression. I happen to be married to the most expressive person on the planet. I think you have very, very well developed facial muscles. So when I'm talking to him and I'm saying, I was thinking about doing, this for dinner tonight. I mean,
sounds lovely.
Right. I mean,
delicious.
That facial expression can tell me a whole lot about his excitement for it. Those facial expressions can change our conversations where I will switch to, am I feeling defensive? Am I excited? Am I nervous? There's so much that can be said just with what expressions come on, and I have a very expressive person here to look at and to read from.
So when you look at your kid and you say, all right, I'm ready to play.
Are you really?
They know. They know you're not ready to play.
Right. Yeah, and that goes to tone of voice.
Tone of voice is a huge one. It's so important that kind of sets the sound of the whole conversation. And, if you go up to your kids and you say, all right, I'm ready to play, they know you're not really ready to play. Versus, all right, guys, I'm ready to play. What are we doing? Those are two totally different openings, but they set the tone of how everybody's going to present themselves and whether they're going to give themselves fully to the experience or just kind of lackadaisical.
Yes, completely. Another one is touch, and we talk about touch a lot of times when it comes to marriage and our intimate relationship, and I talk about how it is hard to be emotionally distant when you physically connect on a daily basis. And touch is really an important thing. And touch is something that we are very big on, touch with consent. And so we don't force touch in our family.
But it's not uncommon to hear us say, do you need a hug?
Yes. I was going to say we invite touch a lot. And you are so right. We hear that a lot in the home, and it's opening up, it's asking, it's inviting people to touch one another because we recognize that importance of connection.
And don't shoot off some weird facial expressions or tones of voice where they say, nope, don't want a hug. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Namaste.
It's okay. Recognize not everybody wants to be touched all the time either. And then, so another one is body language. Yeah, what is your body language saying? If I'm going to give my daughters that hug, and I've got the hug of busy on the phone and the side shoulder, what's that telling me versus a big warm embrace? So what is your body language saying? Are you really fully connected and engaged? And then the last one that we had on our list there was pacing, timing, and intensity. And I know that one's a big one because I'm very sensitive to the energy that people have when they're walking into a room. What type of energy are they commanding? Sometimes it's a really negative, nervous energy, or a tense energy, or an intense energy that's just a very strong energy. Sometimes it can be just very fast-paced. Okay, all right, I got an hour. All right, let's do this. Come on, where's the matchbox car? Let's go. Let's finish this race. And it's just so fast and speedy, you don't really have that opportunity to connect. So all of these are some pretty significant non-verbal cues, and each one of those can create a pretty powerful bond. I mean, I could completely bond with my child by doing nothing more than us simply looking into each other's eyes. That really could work. So recognize your nonverbal cues when you are connecting with your children and with your partner and with anyone else. And pay attention to the podcast. Or not pay attention, but
listen to the podcast.
Listen to the
I
podcast.
think one of the most important takeaways that I would say is be graceful with yourself. There's all this need to want to connect. Sometimes we want that to be so intense, but just looking for those opportunities to pop up are some of the most richest things that I've found in our life.
Yeah. All right. The uniqueness in each of us strengthens all of us. Namaste. Have a great week.